can see today we have a very large crowd with us. We have people from all over the state that have come to be part of this process. Let me be very clear and get to the point. I want as many people as possible to have a voice today. This is an important part of the democratic process.
The problem with economic incentives are multifold. It begins with the problem that it takes from the many to give to the few. Things like public safety, roads and bridges, a good education. We want to know it's safe to walk on our streets. We want to know our students can graduate ready for the workforce. We want to know we can cross bridges without them collapsing. These are important things not only to the basic core functions of government, but also to economic development. We also steal money from small businesses. Our small businesses, we all know, generate most of the jobs in the state of Florida. Most of us work for small businesses. But small businesses don't see the benefit of these incentives because a majority of the incentives in the state of Florida go to employers with greater than 1,000 employees. And finally, ultimately, economic incentives are most wrong because they pick winners and losers. When we give money to one company, we disadvantage their competitors. Visit Florida represents a fraction of the overall spending on marketing of the state of Florida for tourism purposes. The better way to do economic development is in a way that broadly benefits all Floridians. In general, the programs that were retained have broader benefits to more Floridians. We had the issue with Pitbull and the video there, and when taxpayers sit back and see millions of dollars going to multi-million-dollar celebrities, it doesn't set well. And then what we're saying is it's time to hit the reset button. We are a welcoming place to do business, and those are the really critical economic development criteria that attract businesses. We want Florida to be a permanent incentive. The problem with economic incentives is they are selective, and they absolutely pick winners and losers. And so here we have a situation where we're giving incentives to a company selectively, and then they have to turn around and pay a tax that no other state in the country charges. We should be taking the hundreds of millions of dollars we're spending for the privileged few, for those few companies that are able to navigate the system, and put it toward broad-based tax reform that benefits every business, small, medium, and large. And if we do that, we will continue, as we have been, to be one of the leading states in the country for job growth and a prosperous future, but a future that's prosperous and full of opportunity for everyone.
The problem with economic development wars, this is like a drug addiction, sir. We've got the Harold Nut Company, as you're aware, over in Monticello. No jobs to this day. Building sitting empty. Got $100,000 of free land from the county. And that's typical of what goes on here. And I'm urging the members to support this bill because people like me in Florida are tired of all of this money being wasted.
It was said by the representative that Florida's different. Yes, Florida is different. It's a tourism economy. And if you take this economy on, I can guarantee you the loss of tens of thousands of jobs, billions of dollars. California is thrilled that you're having this bill because they've raised their budget to 110 million. It used to be 50. And I promise you, I moved here because it's a no income tax state. Hope no one's with the IRS. But the bottom line is you have no choice. If you pass this bill, you are going to go to either an income tax state or increase sales taxes or cut services.
Government folks, good folks. But what do we know about government? It's process driven, it's reactive, it's transactional. What do we know about the private sector? It's performance driven, it's proactive, and it's transformational.
We choose to not have representation through a Marriott or a Hilton because Florida has such a strong brand and presence. We can get away with not having that reach.
Thank you, members, and thank you very much for putting up this very important bill. Economic incentives are not to be done by government agencies. It is corporate welfare. It is not picking winners and losers. These people coming up here today are acting like tourism will end in Florida if we stop Visit Florida. That is ridiculous. And if these ideas were so good, then I think that these companies should band together, form an organization in the private sector, and start marketing Florida like they're already doing now. We don't need your money in order to make Florida a success. And I really think that it's just disingenuous to come up here to think that somehow you government agents are the only ones that can save us poor, lonely Floridians from actually getting anything done here. It's the hardworking people of this state that make us work and that make us a tourist destination. It is not you guys giving us money. So thank you for putting this bill forward.
Just want you to remember the economic lessons of Frederick Bastiat, that we talked about how it's always easy to come up and show a government project or a government agency and point to directly what they're doing right now. What you can't lose sight of is the unseen, what taking this tax dollars in the first place prevents from happening in the economy. So the question here is, what is the best approach forward for economic development? Is it really the free market, which this bill would help create, or is it more government top-down approaches? I hope we side with capitalism. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I would just like to say, as a citizen who works in the service industry in Orlando, right next to actually the international airport, I work in the service industry, and so I would say I'm arguably one of the people who are benefiting most from this kind of a bill. But even as such, I understand the economic impacts of it, and I understand that bills are not supposed to be for special interests, not for myself or not for anyone else that's coming up here and asking in favor of it, but that our representatives are here to represent all of the Florida constituents, and that they are here to provide economic literacy and to do things that are going to benefit everyone. And then I ask that we hold our representatives accountable.
Boat captains are not marketers. This is my marketing community.
I would like to speak in favor of adopting the bill because it does not seem fair that the government, instead of the free market, is the one choosing winners and losers. Tipping scales in favor of this group or that company does not seem reasonable or fair. I'm an American, just a citizen, one of many Hispanic Americans, simply an American who is self-employed and wants a fair shot at starting and growing my own business. If a company on its own competing against companies that are subsidized, how can a new business get a fair shot? Furthermore, it seems that these programs are not even functioning as they should. According to Amy Baker, the chief economist, she says nearly 70% of Florida state-level incentive and investment programs lost money over the past 3 years. I do love America, I love Florida, I grew up here, this is my home. And I do understand why so many industries and businesses want to move and operate in the Sunshine State. We should certainly welcome them. All we ask for is a fair system where businesses can operate under the same rules so that we may have fair competition with less tipping of the scale.
Transparency is a good thing, and we need to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. I feel very confident that this is something that we can work all together to make sure that we have a product that is the very best product for Floridians.
I stand with you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Renner, in your support of accountability and transparency, and want to make sure we get there, but I cannot support this bill today.
I want to know, at a place in Miami Beach that's supposed to be the capital of tourism, why Holiday Beach is so deserted if all these organizations is doing what's right. And I take this personal when people approach me about what's really happening. I'm not in the middle of a debate with the governor and the chair, the speaker. I know what's in my heart that I look at every day, where the people that elected me come to make some real decisions, what's really happening. We don't have jobs in our neighborhood. We got a 30-acre industrial park that resulted out of a 1980 civil disturbance. And the Beacon Council said it's unmarketable. That hurt me to the core, because I was graduating from high school. They supposed to supply jobs for my community. It never happened. I sit here today, and it still haven't happened.
One of the things that Representative Renner said that I wholeheartedly agree with is that Florida's laws and its tax structure should ultimately be the number one incentive. When the playing field is ultimately leveled, there's not one winner, there's not two winners, but there's a lot of winners. And that should be the message that we continue to send to the rest of this country and the rest of this world, that Florida is the best place for a business to thrive.
You know, there are programs in our state government where the spending's run rampant. And it's our job as legislators to get this spending under control, to be cognizant of that, as well as to hold those with the purses accountable and be 100% transparent with those funds. In order to get where we need to be sometimes, we got to reset the budget to zero, and that's what we're proposing here today. Strong argument's been made here in favor, for and against it, and I appreciate everyone's passion on that. But I just don't think after this committee today, you cannot ignore the constituents' desires and their needs after that. I know it's made an impression on me, and so I appreciate that. The trick is we have to balance the monies that are available with the programs that are there and figure out the best way to bring value for your money on the state's investments. And that's a tough thing to do.